if you look at the growth that we've had in the Indian startup ecosystem, a majority of it has come in from foreign funding historically. Whether it was Tiger Global initially, then it was Tencent, SoftBank, Alibaba. These are the companies that have really built India's startup ecosystem. Whether it is the Swadeshi Jagran Manch and the CAIT holding dharnas when Jeff Bezos visiting India, or it is Indian founders like Vijay Shekhar Sharma talking against digital colonization. Mukesh Ambani did that too. Nandan Nilekani during the net neutrality campaign also made that argument against Facebook. So you're seeing that pushback, and it's kind of ironic, in particular that Paytm has made this argument, given that a majority of 197 Communications, which is Paytm's parent company, is owned by a Chinese company. So the fact that there is a pushback against Chinese apps, and there are also lists circulating that mention Paytm in that list, it's basically karma. And I guess if you think about it, you can see this as a kind of protest against Chinese companies and against China's incursion into our territory. I do think that this is a legitimate form of protest. Although I think it's a bit naive to expect that this is going to have any impact from a geopolitical perspective. Because companies and countries don't play the short term. All it will be is like it will just manage some headlines. It will, the fact that remove Chinese apps, app reached 5 million downloads. That will just be in the headlines. None of us will remember this 1 year from now. So countries have a longer vision. Companies also have a longer vision. I don't think the Chinese companies will be too worried about it. I don't think the Chinese government will be worried about it. In fact, I would be very worried about them shifting to some so-called Swadeshi apps which are just being opportunistic. Because let's face it, every individual user faces significant privacy and security threats when they download apps, and I would rather trust an app that is operating at a global scale with liabilities in various countries where there are strong data protection laws, and where there is more scrutiny from developers and security researchers, as opposed to someone just a Me Too app trying to take advantage of the current situation. So I would strongly advise against downloading any app that is not global in nature, just because you don't like a Chinese app or an American app. Yeah, look, either smartphones will be owned by a Chinese company or they'll be built by a Chinese company. The iPhone is famously built in China, right? So I don't think there's any escaping this. For example, when we roll out 5G, there is a huge global debate taking place on Huawei and their methods of influence in America's alleged espionage as well. So we need to be very conscious about what kind of network infrastructure we install and what kind of control another country has over it. There is a digital Belt and Road initiative in that sense that Chinese apps have made an international foray. very aggressively over the last few years, and also Chinese investments are also a part of this. So India has been one of the largest recipients of Chinese investments over the last 3 years, 3 to 4 years. I believe China estimates its investments in India to be upwards of $8 billion, and that is fairly significant. I think our government fails us when it pays only lip service to the startup ecosystem. If you look at the growth that we've had in the Indian startup ecosystem, a majority of it has come in from foreign funding historically. Whether it was Tiger Global initially, then it was Tencent, SoftBank, Alibaba. These are the companies that have really built India's startup ecosystem. So we need, while Startup India is a great slogan, it really hasn't given any fillip to the startup space. You look at the angel tax that is put on India startups, on investments in India startups, that hampers investment effectively. That has now been removed, but just the process of just doing businesses in India is so difficult. Raising money in India from Indian businesses is so difficult that you're going to find it difficult to compete at not only an India stage but also a global stage. How many Indian apps have gone global? I can think of Zomato. That we are mostly a services economy. We are mostly a back office.